Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing extremely well. So today we have with us someone who is a co-founder of one of the leading edtech firms in India, that is Coding Ninjas. So I'll give you a small introduction about him. So he did his bachelor's in computer science from IIT Delhi, and then he was working with Amazon India. And right after that, he went on to do his master's in computer science from Stanford University. And after that, he did get an internship at Facebook, which was later converted to a PPO. So he's working with Facebook. And after that, I don't know what happened. He decided to come back to India. And after some years, he opened up this wonderful edtech startup, which is Coding Ninjas. So, Ankush, my first question to you will be like, a lot of people after doing their BTech, when they get this job, especially in a tech giant like Amazon, they actually stop thinking about getting back to studies. So, what made you actually go back and do your masters? After that, when you got your job in Facebook, right? That is one of the dream companies for every software engineers to work. So, what made you decide to leave that and come back to India? Because at that time, when I saw your profile, you did not come up and start up your coding ninjas, right? So, what inspired you to go back and come back to India? Can you just give us some insights into that?
Sure. So thanks a lot, Raj. Thanks a lot for having me on the channel. And would be happy to share and answer all these questions to everybody who is watching the video. And so, first of all, I think taking the first question first. Like you talked about, like why did I decide to leave Amazon and go and do my masters? So honestly, Amazon was like one of the jobs that job that I got in campus at IT Delhi, and didn't really know like what exactly I want to do, what I really enjoy, right? Like honestly, wasn't even sure before joining Amazon that I want to stick to tech, or would I like to sort of move into, let's say, a banking or do an MBA or do something else, right? Like had no clarity from that perspective. So one thing that happened at Amazon is I was absolutely clear that I enjoy tech, I like tech, and I want to stick to software development as a career. That's something that I really enjoy. That is something that I got to know in the first few months at Amazon. Right? Like what happens is before you join a company, you're writing code which nobody sees. Even you don't go back and look at your code, right? Like so, what happens is once you join a company, your whatever you're doing is actually useful. Somebody is actually using that code. Like there are like millions of users who are actually using the code, right? So that's highly motivating. And so I personally really enjoyed that and sort of felt that this is something that I want to do. But over the next few months, I sort of figured out that I don't really like my current job as much, and sort of felt like that I'm like one of 10,000 engineers who are working here, and whatever I do, I can make a very small contribution to the overall company. And I don't know if it is impactful or not, like whether I'm enjoying it or not. So, sort of knew, want to stick to tech, wasn't sure this is what I want to do. And so I just felt like if given a chance to spend 2 more years in college, which was a lot more fun, maybe I should do that. And hopefully it will be more productive than my bachelor's, because undergrad, like most of the time went into like just hanging out, right? Like not really working that hard, but really wanted to work hard and like learn as much as possible and sort of try to figure out what I really want to do, what I would really enjoy. So that was the thought process, nothing else. Just felt like going to Stanford would be an amazing opportunity. You get to be in the Bay Area around all the amazing companies. So that was the thought process. Didn't really think too much. Nowadays, for example, a lot of students come to me and ask that will it make sense in terms of money, how much I'm spending, how much I'll make more. So I didn't really do all of that calculation. It was very straightforward for me. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing right now. Let's take 2 years to explore what I want to do. And that's how I sort of decided to go ahead and do my master's. Right. So that was the thought process in going to US, and felt like something that if I get to live in the US for 3 4 years, it'll be a different experience. Hopefully, I'll grow as a person, mature, and like get to understand a lot more things outside the comfort zone that I was living in. Right. So that was the thought process. Was sort of clear that I do want to move back eventually. And honestly telling you, a lot of people who are going for masters or going to US are clear that they want to come back, but they don't actually come back. That clarity sort of changes to that I'm clear, I don't want to go back, right? So in some time. So in my head, one thing that happens when you are at Stanford or you are in Bay Area, Silicon Valley, is that you see almost everyone around you talking about startups. Almost everyone around you talking about why they want to start a company, why they want to quit whatever they're doing and like build something, right? Like so almost everybody wants to do that, and that's something that I wanted to do as well. And it just felt like if I have to do that, I would rather do it in India. I'll connect to the problems a lot more. So that was the feeling when I sort of felt that I want to start something. And if I want to start something, I want to be back in India rather than doing it in the US. So that was the basic thought process around leaving Facebook. I was spending I think when I joined Facebook, that's something that I was clear to. I want to start something. So let's spend like 1.5, 2 years here. And then basically I'll have to leave and sort of start something on myself. So that was the thought process. And honestly, the idea was that let's move back, spend a couple of years, try to make something work. If nothing works out, uh, I'll get a job. Like I was pretty confident that at least if not Facebook, maybe Google, maybe something else, right? Like I'll get a job and then I can always move back. So that was the sort of plan that let's spend 2 years and then if nothing works out, we can always move back. Yeah. So that was the process.
Great confidence, actually. I like the clarity that you had on everything that you wanted to do. And generally, people in our generation or students in our generation don't have that clarity. They are fluctuating between shall I do MS, shall I work. Then people watching this can take a leaf out of this of his notebook, that you should be really clear on what you are aspiring to do. And especially 2 years down the line, you should also think about, not कि आज job मिल गया चलो job करते हैं. You should be really clear about what you want to do. So one more thing, when you told about that you're leaving Facebook, you actually thought it before joining. So in India, right? In India, when you tell this to your parents that I'm gonna leave such a big company, right? So what was your parents' reaction? And overall, there's this pressure in back, because I'm assuming you should be 25, 26, the time when people start building their career. So at the time you decided to leave a company that I think most of the software engineers dream of working with. So how was that decision? How did that decision pan out, and how did that actually work, leaving Facebook?
Right, right. So definitely, right? Like, so it was a big decision for me as well, in the sense that I need to pack everything, move back, right? Like, and then like start building up everything from scratch again. But one thing that I tell everybody is that, see, one thing that we need to do is try to build that skill set without actually thinking of the job. That will bring you the confidence that मुझे जॉब नहीं मिलेगी तो किसे मिलेगी. Like ये एक confidence होना चाहिए that if there is a job, I'm going to get it. I know. Like that's not something that I need to struggle with. I'm sure that whatever I've done, I will. I don't have to worry about getting a job, right? So that was one confidence, like level of confidence that you need to have. That honestly I had. That if nothing works out, I can do it. In terms of coming to parents, right? Like I think that's sort of for me. So for example, when I told my dad that I'm leaving Amazon, going to do a master's, I think he didn't understand that as well, right? Like he was like, you are making good amount of money, why do you need to do anything else now? Like if you just continue doing this, you will be absolutely happy in your life, and so you should continue doing this. And I think at that time I sort of told him that no, that's not how I think about things, and I want to do it, like do masters and like do something. I think he sort of gave up on me at that time itself, that he sort of understood that इसको जो करना है he will figure it out, he'll decide for himself, मेरे बोलने से कुछ खास फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है. So that was something like I think that he sort of understood, and he had a similar feeling when I told him that I want to leave Facebook. And so like when I joined Facebook, I think there were like 500, 600 engineers. So not that big, like pretty big, but like not as big as what it is right now. So I got decent sort of stocks as well. Definitely, like my salary was actually less than what I would have made in stocks. So like doing all that calculation, it felt really bad to leave that. But I think like finally, I understood first that this is something that I want to do, and then basically I think it's not that hard to explain to parents as well that यार अब यही चाहिए क्या
I can understand that parents in India do care about us, and they do think about us, and that is the reason they actually think so much. But trust me, come 2021, they must be mighty pleased with you that you are one of the co-founders, and kudos to you that you actually took that decision without actually thinking of that huge amount of stocks or the money that you were earning. So since you are the co-founder of coding ninja, so I'll just want you to explain me like what does your company does, and like a bit insights into your company will really help for the people who are watching.
Sure, sure. So, see, Coding Ninjas is basically a platform for anybody who wants a career in software development, right? Anybody who wants to explore computer science as one of the fields that they want to be in. So, to me, like for me as a founder, I think it was a perfect combination of software development and education, which I was really passionate about. So, what we basically do is we have online courses where basically we help people start from basics, learn data algorithms, learn advanced skills like machine learning, data science, web development, right? And making sure that their doubts are resolved one on one within minutes. That's something that we are experts at, and that's something that we do. And we have taught close to 50,000 students in the last few years. And yeah, so that's what we are doing, and looking forward to teach as many students as possible and helping out people in their careers. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's great, but so I see that you have more than a decade experience in the industry, right? In the tech industry, and you almost have 5 to 6 years of experience in the tech line. So generally, it's said that when you're wanting to create a startup, you cannot actually create a company for the products that are currently in the market. When you're creating a startup, you have to create a startup related to something that's gonna take the market in storm in the next 2 to 3 years. So like when you are at Facebook, when did you realize that edtech is the next big thing in India, and this is something on which your startup can be built on? So can you just walk us through the transition on what made you think that this is going to be the next big thing in India, and how did you start this entire stuff?
Right, right. So absolutely. So first of all, to be honest, I wasn't sure that I'm going to build coding ninjas when I came to India. I said that I wanted to like spend 2 years and figure out like what I really want to do. The first 2 years, I started started working on three different ideas. None of them worked. Had to shut down all three. At the end of the like I sort of felt that I want to do something in this. And the first three ideas were also in education. So one thing that was very clear to me was not that education is going to boom, edtech is going to boom, but that I am going to be really happy if I'm doing something in education, right? So that's something that I was very clear. So one thing that I felt at Amazon as well as Facebook, as I mentioned earlier as well, that I want to see that whatever I'm doing is making impact. That is absolutely necessary for me to stay happy, for me to stay motivated to do whatever I'm doing, right? And if you talk about actual impact, I think as soon as you talk about education and health, right, these are two sectors which have tremendous amount of impact that they can have on the consumer who are using the whatever the platform is, right? So yeah, so basically wanted to do something in education, and sort of felt like just got like the amazing place, right? Like in the sense that love software development, love technology, love education. So felt like this is something that I could potentially do. And when basically we started coding ninjas, honestly, the options that people had was colleges, right? Then you had places like these mass chains, right? Like NIT, Aptech, and then you had some MOOCs who were basically just had the content, didn't have any sort of support, and it felt like this problem is like a problem which has been there from a long period, right? Where there are people who want jobs, there are companies who want to give jobs, but there is just such a huge skill gap between what people need to be at what companies require, right? So just felt like this is something that I really would enjoy solving, and didn't really know edtech is going to boom. I didn't really know what exactly how big this is going to get or not, right? But one thing I was sure about is that I will really enjoy doing or building this because I know I'll be helping out a lot of students who have been like, I have sort of lived through that journey, right? Like, I have been that student who did not know how to code, who basically sort of struggled to get there. I have been that employer who have been trying to hire, not able to hire because लोगों को आता ही नहीं है कुछ, तो वो problem आ रही है, right? So like, so I've seen all that phases, so it really felt like this is something that I want to do and something that I would enjoy.
Great, great, great. So, coming across when you said that the skill gap between the students and the company wanting to hire was huge. So, I'll just ask you a very, very common question. So, nowadays, to fill that skill gap, people are talking about competitive programming a lot. Now, they have linked competitive programming to literally everything, be it placement, be it referrals, be it anything. Like, कुछ भी चाहिए CP कर लो, you'll get everything. So, how was it in your days? And you have seen the generation grow. So is the hype related to competitive programming really justified in probably taking the skill gap down to a much narrower level? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Right. So it's a very complicated question, to be honest. So first of all, I'll take the easy part, right? The easy part is in our time. Like for example, in my batch, nobody was doing competitive programming. It was not popular at all. Very few people sort of like I know like there are a few particular colleges where people were doing it, but honestly, at IIT Delhi, I'd like there was not many people who were basically doing competitive programming. So this is a trend which has sort of started later on. Now talking about, is competitive programming the answer to bridging that gap or doing that, right? So 2 3 points here. First is that competitive programming is sort of like advanced data structures, advanced algorithms, right? Like which potentially will help you clear those interviews. It will potentially help you get those referrals. So it can definitely help you get referrals because it sort of shows that you are really good in data structure algorithms, and it will help you get that referral. But I think there are many different ways of getting that referral. If you would ask me, for example, if I have to give somebody advice, let's say I have a younger brother who is in college right now, and I have to tell them what they should do in the 4 years, I would tell them that do competitive programming, but it should not be more than 20% of your time that you are trying to upskill yourself. 80% of the time has to be what real computer science is. And I think real computer science is being able to build stuff, right? The power of computer science is you being able to build websites, you being able to build products that like millions of people can potentially use. So that's something that I would personally advise anybody to do. Do competitive programming because being good in problem solving, be good in data structures definitely helps cracking companies and definitely helps in your development part as well. If you are good in algorithm, your development skills will also improve because overall your programming skills are really good. But what you should really do to bridge that gap, you should work on as many projects as possible. When I say as many, it does not mean that you do 20, you do like 3 4, but you do them in a really really good way. You do internships, work with companies. So these are sort of things that you should try and do. And competitive, you do a little bit, but don't just make that as your life. Because if you have good projects, that itself will be good enough to get you referrals. If you have good internships, that'll be good enough to get you those referrals, right? CP is not the only way for you to get those referrals.
Great, great, great. So I'll add something to this. So do you think that just because the skill gap is so huge, especially when you talk about building systems, so is that the reason most of the companies like the tech giants, I'm not talking about startups, their interview process is just related to data structure and algorithms? If you check out Google, no project round, 5 rounds completely on data structure and algorithms, because they basically think they're going to hire the best programmers and then they'll teach them to build systems. So what are your thought process on
Right.
this? Key startup does interview on the basis of projects, whereas tech giants like Google, be it Amazon and all, have their interviews more biased towards the data structure and algorithms.
Right. See, so I'm not like, okay, for example, if you're really good in problem solving, if you're really good in data structural algorithms, I can believe that, I do believe that you are going to do a good job in development as well, right? That's not going to be a problem. I'm not too worried about that. I think you will do fine. In terms of development, you will be able to learn because you are smart. You have proven that you are extremely smart. You are really good in problem solving. You will be able to learn development and you will be able to do well in it. But that's not the only point. The point is that I have 4 years of my life. Do I just keep preparing myself for that interview, that job? Or should I try to find some other ways of actually upskilling myself, building something which is tangible, building something which is going to get used by people, building some projects? That's something that we need to do. I'm not suggesting that if you're doing development, I still say that your data algorithm has to be strong enough that you are able to still crack Google or Amazon or other companies. But don't just do that because it's not JE, right? Like for JE, we are already spending 2 years just thinking of that one day of exam. Let's not spend the next 4 years thinking of the placement season as the JE and spending 4 years just preparing for that. I don't think that's very smart, right? So we need to work on that. In terms of what their recruitment process is, I think that's absolutely fine because uh, if you are good at that, very likely you will be able to do something else. You will be able to continue to do well in development as well.
Great, great, great. So I'll have one question that is very common from my juniors actually. So whenever I tell them about your platform, right? So one thing that comes up is the price segment of your products. Now I have personally gone through your products and the quality and especially the doubt sessions that you talk about are really really good. But all of my juniors do complain about the price segment of your product. So have a word on that.
Right. See, so now when we talk about pricing, right? Like, so we need to understand that what is this course supposed to do for you, right? It's supposed to make you a programmer who has solved like hundreds of problems and who is now prepared to clear those interviews or who is now really good in web development and work on those projects. So the sort of impact this is going to have, just think about that as well. That is one point that I want to make. Secondly, you need to understand that whether would you rather have a little less quality at a lower price, right? Or would you want to have the best quality at this price? Because if we try to lower the quality, there is a high chance you will spend 6 months and you will not learn by the end of it. And that's a 6 months of your time, which is a much bigger investment than any money that you would spend, right? So we make sure that the courses are top quality, the content is high quality. We will make sure that the doubt support is amazing, right? Like, so for example, currently our average doubt response time is 20 minutes, right? So you have a doubt. Just imagine this, right? Like it's impossible in offline as well. In offline, you will have to wait for a week or the next class, which will happen in 2 3 days, and go and ask your doubt. Now, just imagine what will happen here. You are learning whatever time you raise a doubt, and within 20 minutes, which is the average, right? And like you get a response, you get your doubt solved, and you are able to move forward. So we have built the whole system in a way that if you want to learn, we will make sure we will do whatever it takes to make sure that you actually end up learning. We believe that your time is the maximum value. And for us to basically sustain that, it does require some cost on our end, right? So we have to value accordingly.
Okay, okay. So, still, is there any coupon code that you'll be providing to the viewers so that they can get any specific discount?
Absolutely. So won't disappoint all the everybody who is watching this, right? So we'll definitely be offering 15% discount on which is going to be on top of whatever discount is already running on the website, right? So whatever is running on the website, that's already there. On top of that, there'll be a 15% discount to anybody who's watching the video, and we'll share a link with you, and then you can share that with your viewers.
Okay, viewers, whoever is watching, definitely go and check out their website. You'll find amazing courses over there, and I'll add up the link in the description. So, in the last 5 years, your startup has grown exponentially. So, what are your current plans so that the startup keeps on growing, and what are the programs that you're currently offering?
Right. So, see, we have had a very interesting journey. We started offline in like with through three classrooms. We moved online, and like we have scaled up the online system to a place where it's as effective, actually more effective than the offline classes. And going forward, we are planning to create a lot new courses. We are coming with a lot of interesting content. And along with that, to generally help the community, we have recently launched a platform called Code Studio, where you'll find thousands of problems, hundreds of interview experiences, where you can find like proper lists for Facebook interview questions, Amazon interview questions, Google interview questions, right? So like that's a program that we've recently launched. I'm super excited about that. I think it's going to be a place that anybody who wants to practice for upcoming interviews can go and practice a lot and like get ready for their interviews. And along with that, like I think we do like tens of events every month, which basically are targeted towards promoting more and more people to take part in these contests, because as they do that, they sort of realize what they are missing on, and that tells them what to work harder on, right? So these are sort of things that we are doing, and really excited about what's in store for over the next few years, and looking forward to help as many students as possible in achieving their goals. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Okay. So first of all the best for all your future events. And I was really impressed with one of your events, that was the hiring event that you do organize every year. I was really fascinated by the hiring process, because it was eventually it was very specifically categorized as the round one will go as data structure algorithms, round two will be projects. So it was very
Mhm.
good. I really loved that idea of hiring, right?
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
ask you
Yeah.
the last question. I'll not take much time of you. So since my majority of the viewers are actually college students, so I know what a college student thinks. He thinks of either getting a job in one of the tech giants, or either he is one of those guys who's thinking of forming bringing us change. So since you have done both, so what will be your advice to a youngster watching, that what should you aim for? Should you go for that tech giant, have some security, and then look for a startup after gaining experience, or should you straight away go and launch a startup if you have that kind of project solving ability? So what's your take on this?
So I would first of all I would say this is something that you need to be able to answer within you, right? Like you need to have that sort of feeling that this is something that I want to do. If I don't do this, I'm going to regret that, right? So I always quote this line from Jeff Bezos, who is Amazon CEO. I'm sure most of you know. He says that you should take a decision on the basis of regret minimization. That means if I have to decide between A and B, I'll choose the one direction where I'm sure I'll have less regret, right? So if you feel that you start a company now, will you regret that more? Or if you join a company and you don't start a company right now, but will you regret that more? So, for example, in my case, I was absolutely sure if I don't start a company now, I'm going to regret that in the longer term. So I just took that decision. And in general, when are you ready to start? You are ready to start when you have that confidence that I have the right skill set. I am confident that I am ready in terms of like I'm prepared either in software development or on the business side or whatever skill set that you want to have. You have that skill set and you are ready to take that plunge of starting a company. Don't think that you will learn everything while you are trying to build a company. You will have to learn a lot, but at least try to build that core skill set that you want to perform at the startup. So if you feel you are not ready yet, go with the default path, which is basically joining a company. But if you feel you're ready and that's something that you really want to do, I think there is no time which is too early to start a company. You should just jump into it. The amount of learning you will have will be crazy. What you will learn out of it will be crazy. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is really good. Actually, a lot of people do get confused. So it's very clear, viewers. It's very clear that if you have this skill set, if you're confident enough, I think you should go for it, because it's better not regretting. Because the age when you graduate is not that much. And even if you work for a couple of years or 3 years, after that also you are not into the late 30s. So
Yeah.
don't leave it to a while that you regret that, why did I not start up. So yeah, that will be it for this interview. So thank you a lot for coming to my channel and sharing your invaluable experience, and all the best for your future endeavors. And I'll really hope to see Coding Ninjas grow much further. So yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Really appreciate it.
So guys, thank you for watching. If you did find this video interesting, please make sure you hit that like button, and yes, do not forget to check out the Coding Ninjas website, and if you are willing to take a discount, do check out the link in the description. With this, I'll be wrapping up this video. Let's meet in some other video where we will be discussing some interesting stuff. Bye bye.